Here I am, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy, AJ Maldonado. Had to do the Jimmy Lennon intro, had to do everything right, had to be back in a big way. What's up, everybody? It's your boy. I know I was off for a while, but you know I'm back. Like I never left. The rest of the song. Hey, you know I gotta do my best Macklemore impression. That guy's my dude. Shout out to Macklemore. But man, we gotta get some serious business going on. As always, we keep it 100 here in the down low, aka Pueblo. We gotta keep it 100. So, for all those hardcore fight fans out there that may think they know a lot about the sport, well, this is the month for you. August is one of the biggest months for UFC. As you see, I'm back in my studio, first studio show in a while. First true studio show in a while, not like the vlog I did with Carl and John. But this is a true studio show, and we're here to talk about UFC. Now, as you may know, I'm playing catch up a bit, so bear with me. I've just been busy. Gotta get that money. Don't bring me my money. Even though I'm broke, I need my money. So, man, we'll start with August 3rd. Kobi Covington versus Robbie Lawler. Man, what a fight that was. I mean, for those who didn't think Kobi Covington was for real and who was just a straight up shit talker, they ate their words a couple weeks ago. Kobi Covington is a guy that puts extreme volume on people. He puts extreme wrestling and extreme power punching to the test when he fights people. He was facing no joke against Robbie Lawler a couple weeks ago, and man, did he deliver. Kobi Covington, for those who don't know, for the casual MMA fans, he is just a straight up, many people think is a straight up smack talker. He just crosses lines. When people have lines, he's the guy that crosses them. And for those who also didn't know, Matt Hughes is a guy that UFC Hall of Famer, one of the most winningest fighters in UFC history. Kobi Covington made a post-fight remark explaining how Matt Hughes got into a car accident on train tracks, which almost caused Matt Hughes to unfortunately almost die. And many people were offended by that, but me, I kind of love that shit. But I don't know. I mean, we gotta blame Chael Sonnen for this, because he's the guy who started shit talking, and he's the guy who brought a new wave of entertainment to the UFC back when the UFC didn't really have a big entertainment factor in the trash talking department. So we gotta blame him, and then you got all these guys that want to be a Conor McGregor, who want to get on that fast track of smack talking and getting on board of getting people on board of what you're trying to sell. But me personally, I like when people talk shit, especially when they back it up. Because they don't back it up, no. Man, it gets me fired up. I'm sorry. I had to deal with all that. But it gets me fired up. And I'll respect any man, and I mean any man, that can back up shit talking. And that's exactly what Kobi Covington did. He won 50-45, 50-43. And for those who don't know, that is considered a blowout in the sport of MMA. And I notice my hair is uneven. You know, you should comment below the way you like my hair, if you like it more in hats, or if you like it out like this. You know, I put some stuff in it that made it extra curly. No, this ain't a perm, this is natural. But I like it. I think I'm gonna stick with it. Anyway, back to business. Stop on business. Anyway, Kobi Covington annihilated Robbie Lawler. And, you know, a lot of people were hoping Robbie Lawler would win, mainly because Kobi Covington just talks so much smack. And, you know, he's a big Trump supporter, and to me, I don't get into all that, but a lot of people don't like that personally. And a lot of people thought Robbie Lawler was the guy to beat him. And Robbie Lawler is a savage, one of the biggest savages in the sport, definitely a Hall of Famer in the sport, and former UFC champion. Defended the belt 2 times against Carlos Condit back in 2016 and against Roy McDonald back in 2015. And both of those fights were easily Fight of the Year candidates. And many people thought this would be a Fight of the Year candidate as well. But it was just straight total domination from Kobe. You know, he just came out. He started swinging with Robbie a couple times. He started throwing punches. He started, you know, rolling with them and then just landing at will at times. Meanwhile, Robbie, it took him a while to pull the trigger. Now, don't get me wrong. At the beginning of the fight, he was just throwing bombs and bombs and bombs. Just landing shots. And it seemed as if when there wasn't wrestling involved and they would actually stand and trade, the fans were anticipating Robbie, like something extreme was going to happen, that Robbie was going to knock him out. Even me, watching the fight, I'm like, okay, this is it. He's going to get him. He's going to get him. He's going to get him. That just didn't happen. Kobe's just a guy that his conditioning is just second to none. I mean, other than the UFC champion, Kamaru Usman, who I happened to got a photo with, his cardio is just insane. I mean, you can't deny the fact that he is definitely up next for a title shot. Of course, you got my boy Jorge Masvidal in the picture, and of course, you got Leon Edwards in the picture. And they talked about a fight over the weekend between themselves. I feel like that's the fight that needs to happen. And if I were the matchmakers, I would have them on the same card. I would do Leon Edwards, Jorge Masvidal, co-main event to Robbie Lawler, to Kobe Covington and Kamaru Usman. However, I'm not at that power yet, but that's what I would like to see they would do, like a Final Four of a welterweight Grand Prix, it may seem like. But Kobe Covington is definitely for real, and I feel like he should get a title shot. Indeed, if he don't, hey, hopefully someone will come along the line and beat him. So we'll see about that. Other than that, Robbie Lawler, I feel he lost 2 in a row. I don't really count the Ben Askren loss as a loss because he didn't really lose. Like, he was beating the brakes off of Ben Askren. Like, come on. Like, how did Herb not stop that? But yeah, Herb stopped the guy with his thumb up in the air. Like, that don't make any sense. Like, you kidding me, man? Like, I don't get it. Like, it blows my mind. And the Big Off hair covers it. Like, there's just some things in UFC history and sports in general that just make you cringe. That was the moment. If you haven't checked out that fight between Robbie Lawler and Ben Askren, you most definitely should. Then you also got, the fact that he lost to Kobe. And like I said, he just wasn't really pulling the trigger very much. It seemed like he would wait and see if Kobe would get a little tired, to the point where, okay, he could probably generate some offense, and he did, but it just wasn't enough, man. I mean, against Kobe, you gotta have the same cardio as Kobe. You gotta have the same style as Kobe almost. That's what Kamaru has, and I feel that fight will be definitely a great fight. The build-up to the fight will be insane. However, I feel Kamaru will knock him out cold in round 2. The date and place, we'll figure that out later. We'll see what happens later. Seems to be like my catch line, but hey, we'll see what happens with that. All right, now we had some fights yesterday. Now, in my eyes, it seems like the UFC is just building cards to keep people busy, to keep people interested, because in my unpopular opinion, I'm a big UFC fan. I'm a diehard fan. I'll watch a fight anytime, anywhere. But there's just like these last 2 cards, they just haven't really like grabbed my attention. They haven't really, what's the expression? I'll get back to you on that. Anyway, the night Robbie Lawler and Kobe Covington fought, you had Jim Miller against Clay Guida. Jim Miller won in about 1 minute and 20 due to guillotine. That was like the only good fight on that card. And then you had Kobe Covington and Robbie Lawler. Yesterday, though, it seemed like they just built up another card just to keep you busy. And although it did have a barn burner, Mike Perry versus Vicente Luque. Now, I'm doing you guys a favor and not showing you the picture of Mike Perry's nose after the fight. I mean, I'll just do it for you. His nose was like flat, like that. I can't really, like this, okay? We'll make it like that, but it was also like to the side, like that. And you think UFC is a brutal business, wait until you see that picture. It'll make you reconsider fighting for all those wannabe guys that watch UFC too much. But man, I felt Mike Perry got robbed, as did a lot of other people. Mike Perry is a guy that he's a straight up brawler. He's a straight up old fashioned fist fighter. And he brings a lot of entertainment to the organization. And, you know, I get nervous for him every time he fights because he's one of those fighters that you're very unsure about. Like, he has the potential to be great, but then again, you don't know if he can be great. And last night, he showed he can be great. You know, he pushed the pace on Vicente Luque. By the way, Vicente Luque ain't no joke. He was on The Ultimate Fighter. The Ultimate Fighter American Top Team versus Black Zillions. He beat Haider Hassan twice. And he's been on a very good UFC run, you know, winning. He's on a 6-fight win streak now, especially with that win against Mike Perry. And I see a big fight for him coming up. However, I just didn't think he won that fight last night. You know, it was a straight barn burner. Great fight. Definitely fight of the year candidate. But you got to hand it to both men. You got to hand it to Vicente. And I feel he should fight Wonder Boy next. That'll be a very good fight. And I feel Mike Perry should definitely fight Mickey Gall. You know, they were talking back and forth a little bit on social media. Nothing too big, nothing too fancy, nothing too trash talky. But I feel that's the fight to make for sure. Now, we jump in to the main event. Liz Carmouche versus Valentina Shevchenko. That happened to be a rematch of a fight from 6 years ago, which Valentina Shevchenko won. And a lot of people thought Liz Carmouche would give her a run for her money. And let's face it, when people become champions, you expect the challenger to give them a hard fight almost every time. Look at John Jones and Thiago Santos. I mean, a lot of people thought, hey, that's going to be a very, very tough fight for John Jones, and it turned out to be. So many people thought that it would be a tough fight for Valentina, but it was the opposite. You know, Valentina is a long-rangey, dangerous striker. And she's not on the level of Amanda Nunes as all-time greatness, but I say with a couple more wins and maybe a third fight down the line, maybe she can be up there with the upper echelon of women fighters. You know, she did fight Amanda Nunes twice, lost the second one in a razor-close decision, and lost the first one in a decision as well. Amanda won both of those. And Valentina, she dropped the weight 10 pounds and became the champion there by defeating the toughest name in sports. She's down there in one of the posters. In fact, I'll just show you. Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She beat her. And you know what? It's definitely a big feather in her cap. You know, it's definitely something that you could be proud of. And it made her very feared, especially with, you know, a lot of Valentina's wins coming via knockout, coming in dominant fashion. Even her very first title defense against Jessica Ai, a head kick about a minute into the second round. I mean, it sounded like a baseball bat going into a wall. I mean, it was one of the nastiest knockouts I've ever seen in women's history. And that's why I love MMA, and that's why women's sports, especially in MMA, needs to be on the map. They need to have the upper echelon, not these nobodies like, I don't want to name names. Yeah, I don't have anything nice to say. But other than that, man, she wasn't fighting no slouch. Liz Carmouche, in case many didn't know, she fought Ronda Rousey in Ronda Rousey's first fight in the UFC. Not first fight ever, the first women's fight in the UFC. So Liz Carmouche will always go down in history. However, she came up short in not one but two title fights. She got tapped out by Ronda Rousey at UFC 157 back in Anaheim 6 years ago. She got tapped out, but she's been on kind of a up and down path when she's been fighting. And I felt they just gave it to her mainly because Valentina don't really have any opponents. And it's the same situation with John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, where they just run out of opponents and they handpick fighters and they just feed them to the lion of a champion. And that's what you saw with Valentina. It's kind of a boring fight, as kind of all women MMA fights are. I don't know, that's just my opinion. But I love UFC. I ain't gonna take nothing away from them. It was a highly anticipated fight, highly competitive chess match that Valentina ended up winning. And even Liz said she thought she would be more aggressive. I mean, I did too. This is my opinion. She retains the title. Sorry, my mom called. Yes, I still live with my mom. Sadly, she called Mother's right. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? All right. Well, that brings me in the next week. I'm glad she called. So get a break. Leads us into this upcoming Saturday. In my eyes, biggest card of the year. You got 3 big fights. And it's very rare when the UFC puts on 3 big fights in one title fight. Let's start with the first big fight. We got Yoel Romero fighting Paulo Costa in a fight that was supposed to happen 2 years ago. But you got Yoel Romero, who's my guy, got suspended for steroids. And then you got Paulo Costa, faking injuries here and there. So they've been going back and forth on Twitter, don't get me wrong. But that's the battle of the biggest, juiced up to the gills MMA fighters competition ever. If 2 bodybuilders were fighting, it would be those 2 guys. And you would stereotype them, to be honest. But that's not the here nor there. You got 2 guys. Yoel Romero hasn't fought since his title fight against Robert Whittaker, who in my eyes, I thought he won. He's trying to get back to his winning ways and might even get a title shot again. But he's fighting a guy who's 12-0. All 12 of his wins are finishes. And is just a man. And I don't mean to sound gay, but man. He's a man. It's just a stylistic fight. It's a great fight that it's a fight fan's dream to watch that fight. Yoel, he's up there in age, but man, he gives 40-year-olds hope. And in my eyes, that's where the real card starts. Then, the people's main event. The man who sadly defeated my guy. I just brought back memories. I'm sorry. It brought back memories when Nate Diaz defeated Conor McGregor. That guy's back. Stockton Slap is back. But wait, how did that second fight go? Oh yeah, I forgot. Conor beat the brakes off him and made his face droop to the left. Now, my boy Anthony Pettis is going to make it droop to the right, and he's going to even it out. He's going to stomp Nate Diaz. He's going to sleep Nate Diaz. He's going to spark Nate Diaz. And anyone who else says different, come my way and tell me differently. Alright? Don't come my way, homie. Just playing I ain't about that thug life. Anyway, now, that fight honestly should have happened at least a good 3 years ago. Especially when Nate was at the peak of his career. Nate was ducking a lot of fights, let's be honest, Supposed to fight Dustin. Now, I'll give credit, Dustin got hurt. And we're a week away from that fight. And, everyone's betting on Nate. But I don't believe it. Nate's been on a layoff, and his last fight was a brutal loss to my boy, Conor McGregor. And, I just don't think Nate has what it takes to beat him. Pettis is coming off, he's won 2 of his last 3. He beat Michael Chiesa last July. He lost to Tony Ferguson. In my eyes, in a fight he was winning. He dropped Tony Ferguson. And for anyone to do that, that just shows you're a dangerous man to lay paws on Tony Ferguson. Man. Anyway, he didn't really lose that fight. He broke his hand, and his coach advised him not to do it, not to keep going. Great coach, Protect your fighter at all times. And then you have when he knocked out Wonderboy in his first fight at 170. I felt that's his natural weight. You don't have to cut weight. Maybe he has to cut 20 pounds. But that's his natural weight. And that's the weight that he needs to really thrive in, and I feel it's a weight he can thrive in, and I feel that's the perfect weight that both of these men could thrive in, and it's a weight that the fight should happen. Both these men are tired of cutting weight, and that's where they're meeting at 170. And you know, Pettis is riding one of the best knockouts of the year, maybe of all time, and Nate trying to reestablish himself. So that's in my eyes one of the real main events. Fight I'm really looking forward to. Nate Diaz is back, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Then, we got the big guys. Rematch, 1 year in the making. Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier. We got OH against California. Kind of like the Cavs and Warriors, except it's bigger. You know, Stipe is definitely considered one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I'm not even putting Fedor in that discussion because he's never really proved himself as the greatest heavyweight of all time. He never came over to the UFC and fought the best of the best. And the UFC has the best of the best. And in my eyes, Stipe is the best. There has never been a heavyweight champ before him to defend the belt more than 2 times. And he was the guy who did it. You know, he won it against Fabricio Werdum in 2016 with the big knockout. Defended it against Alistair Overeem the same year. Took a little layoff. Fought Junior Dos Santos in a rematch, as you see over my shoulder, down below. And he fought one of the scariest men in the division, Francis Ngannou. I mean, I got a little story. So I took a picture with him at International Fight Week, and we did a little face-off. Well, it was funny. We did a face-off, and it's so crazy facing off with these guys. Like, I get starstruck. So whenever I faced off, I started smiling. So once I started smiling and I was walking away thinking the face-off was done, he literally reached out and backhanded me like that. And I was like, oh, and I kid you not, that dude's knuckles was like Thanos. I mean, holy moly. 5 minutes later, just a little, he bitch slapped me. A little bitch slap later. 5 minutes later, I can still feel his knuckles on my face. Like, oh my gosh, that guy has power, yo. I mean, so for Stipe to beat that man, he fought him smart. He definitely fought him smart. But for Stipe to defeat that man the way he beat him is truly a big feather in his cap. Now, as for Cormier, what made Stipe and DC cross paths the very first time was Cormier was former Strikeforce heavyweight champion. You know, switched to 205 in 2014, beat Patrick Cummins, and a couple fights later, next thing you know, he's fighting John Jones. Lost that fight. Then with John Jones being John Jones, stripped his belt. Then the vacant light heavyweight championship was on the line between him and one of the other scariest men on the planet, Rumble Johnson. You know, Cormier, that was his fight to lose, but it turns out he won. 3rd round submission to become the light heavyweight championship. He then defended it a couple times before he fought John Jones again. Defended it against Gustafsson. Was going to fight John Jones again twice, but Cormier got hurt the first time. And then the second time, John Jones being John Jones. What do you know? 3 days before the fight, John Jones pulled out due to... So, then Cormier fought Anderson Silva at UFC 200, where that was there. And then took a little layoff, fought Rumble Johnson in April. Was supposed to fight him in December, but got hurt. Fought Rumble Johnson. Was supposed to fight him in December of 2016. Fought Rumble Johnson in April 2017. Beat him 2nd round, rear naked choke. And then fought John Jones again. Got head kicked in the 3rd round. But, again, man, John Jones, being John Mother-Lovin' Jones, got his belt taken away for another. Man, he needs to get his shit together. My goodness. But Cormier ended up getting the belt back, defended against Volkan. After that Volkan fight in early 2018, they decided to pit DC and Stipe together. They coached season 27 of The Ultimate Fighter, which was one of my favorite seasons. Just the fights were amazing. The finale was amazing. And I was there. I got floor seats to the fight. I'm trying to flex or brag. But, man, one of the most shocking knockouts I've ever seen. I mean, yeah, Cormier's undefeated at heavyweight, but I felt if he was going to win, it wouldn't have been that early. But he carries that extra power. He carries that extra weight up there. And that's what made him just clean Stipe. Now, it wasn't like he was dominating the whole fight. Don't get me wrong, Stipe had his moments, but I felt what was the big turning point in that fight was when Cormier poked him in the eye. And then about 30 seconds later, Stipe got knocked out. They were in the clinch. Cormier hit him with the right hook, and then all the lights went out in Georgia. That's it. And then a lot of people were wondering, hey, Stipe is one of the most successful heavyweight champions in history. Will he get an immediate rematch? That answer was no, because Cormier wanted to fight Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar came into the octagon after, and they're promoting a fight, and many people thought, hey, that's the fight to make. Cormier became a 2-weight world champion that night. Let's not forget. Many people thought he deserved that fight. But what made this whole saga very more interesting was Cormier wanted to retire in March of this year. Of course, that didn't happen. He threw out his back when he fought Derek Lewis. He won that fight, second round rear naked choke. So, I give credit to Cormier, but I give even more credit to Stipe for not fighting, for standing what he believed in, and he got the fight he finally wanted, and that's DC. And many people thought it was a fluke. I don't know. I'll give you guys a prediction the night of the fight on what I think will happen. I just want to give you guys a preview of the month of August. August 31st, final event in August, you got the new strawweight champion, Jessica Andrade, fighting Wei Li Zhang. Chinese name, I don't know how to pronounce it. That's their problem. But anyway, very, very good, intriguing fight. Jessica Andrade won it on home soil, won the belt on home soil by slamming Rose Namajunas on her head. Now, she travels all the way to China to defend it. It's going to be an interesting fight. Well, that's just a preview for UFC in August. Catch my next episode. I can't talk. Catch it Saturday. Talk about UFC 241. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Comment on what you think the next video should be. And I want to do a new format. I want to do one video a week. Should I do it one video a week, or should I do it one every 3 days, or should I just hustle and do it every day? Comment below, like, subscribe. Don't forget, push the like button. And hey, I'll throw a little sweet in there. I got a ton of hats that I want to give away. Whatever team you like, just comment on whatever team you like. I will send you a hat. Might be for free, who knows, depending on who you are. If you can ask me a couple questions, I will give you a free hat. All right? Peace out. Love and respect. And as always, my brothers and sisters, keep it 100.
Break 'em.